Hi class, and welcome to Lecture 2. So today we're going to be discussing the theory for level design, the goals, the structures, and the feedback. So what is game design? Design is the process by which a designer creates a context to be encountered by a participant from which meaning emerges, and this is going to be our working definition to frame today's discussion. So I'd like you to consider the following games, and how would you interpret the context, the encounter, and the meaning in relation to the player experience of the game environment. So let's take for instance this screenshot from the new Super Mario Bros. U, which is quite old now. What can we see from just this screenshot alone? So remember, design is the process by which a designer creates a context to be encountered by a participant from which meaning emerges. So in relation to this screenshot, the context here is that it's a 2D side-scrolling game with a character who can travel left or right, jump and glide, which provides a strict rule set. The UI depicts a coin counter and 3 empty slots for star or the giant coins. There's a cliff edge and a drop into the abyss. The player can't see the ground. And there's coins set up in a diagonal line. The encounter here is the leap of faith. The meaning is the player sees the cliff edge, they'll notice the collectible coins in a diagonal line which encourages them to jump and glide down to the right. From here you have to be obtaining the collectible coins, which adds to the score and creates a sense of accomplishment for the player. So let's take for instance here Proteus. The context here is that it's a first-person walking and looking style game, a walking simulator. It is procedurally generated with procedurally generated visuals and audio. The sound effects are based on which objects you're near and where you are in the game world. The encounter in this game is you encounter flora, fauna and vistas, you encounter the day and night cycle, and you encounter weather and seasons. The meaning here is all based on player curiosity. As a player in this game, you're the passive observer in a larger ecosystem. You can move around and animals will react to your presence, but that's all the influence that you have on the world. You have to exist and you experience. You take in the sights and sounds of the game. And you're making the meaning for yourself. Whether the player makes themselves open to the experience and in awe of the visual spectacle, or whether you choose to close yourself off and lose out on that experience, that's totally up to them. So what are the core elements of game levels? In this video, we aim to unpack the formal design of levels. That is, to consider the core elements of game levels, how these elements are connected as part of a hierarchy, how these elements flow, and how these elements are experienced by players. So let's begin with goals. The designers can set the following goals for a level. To empower the player, to teach the player how to have fun with the game, to maintain suspension of disbelief, to provide a sense of achievement, to reward the player for exploration, and to provide addictive gameplay. So the hierarchy of design is something along the lines of this. You have your overarching design goals, which drive the design process. You have the game design itself, where you would define what the game actually is. How the game design is applied can be in part achieved through level design. And then we break down the design of the levels into the components from which they're constructed, which is the content. So that's things like technical design, production design, and audio design. So let's discuss per level goals. For each level, there ought to be an internal level design goal set. Consider what you want or need the player to achieve within a given level. From there, you can consider what gameplay scenarios should be selected for this level, what are the exciting events that will take place, and what specific actions will the player have to perform. So I'm going to give you a third task here, and this task will be for you to think about what the per level goals, scenarios, events and actions are in your favourite first-person story-rich shooter game. So I'll leave you with that, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much.